Hey guys, this is Worm, and today I just wanted to talk about Destiny 1 and how we can basically get Destiny 2 back to a point where it feels like Destiny 1. So of course, yesterday, or actually 2 days ago, I guess technically, Bungie dropped some huge articles detailing the future of Destiny 2, and there was a lot of references of how some of the magic and the mystery was lost from Destiny 1 to where we are in Destiny 2, and I had planned on making this video anyways, and it just so happened that Bungie dropped that article, so I figured we'd talk about it. When it comes to Destiny 1, first of all, if you didn't play Destiny 1 back in the heyday, like, yes, you can go and play Destiny 1 now, but it is not the same game as it was back in the day. Like, I remember logging in the very first week that it came out. Like, I remember my friends had got it and they were like, or they had played the beta and they were like, bro, you got to get this game and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll get the game. Why not? So I got it the day it came out. We left school. I got out of school at about noon on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I went home and we played it and I absolutely fell in love with it. And there was so much to do inside Destiny 1. There was so much to explore, new exotics, like new weapons, gear, leveling, all that kind of stuff. And granted, that comes with every new game that comes out, like anywhere, right? Not just Destiny, but there's always that sense of newness to it, right? And that feels so good and it feels so fun to explore those. But over time, we kind of explore all the places that we could have explored. We kind of do all the things that we need to do. And then we get to a point where we are now with Destiny, and it's like there's nothing really that can surprise us anymore, right? Like, yeah, they have story bites, but the story bites, if they're not accompanied by the sense of wonder and like in-game experiences, like it just doesn't feel the same. It just does not feel the same. Like, I don't know about y'all. Oh, I remember the first time going into the Vault of Glass. That was in a time where I didn't watch videos about it. I did not, I heard about it from my friends. They were like, hey, what's this thing called the raid here? Oh, you got to be a certain level, blah, blah, blah. And finally, we just decided, hey, one day, let's go in there and do it. We had no idea what we were getting into. Bungie didn't, advertise the Vault of Glass. Bungie didn't talk about it. Like, it was almost like a secret thing, like a secret mission. It's like, oh, this is a raid. What is it? We don't know. And then we went in and it took forever, and we slowly but surely figured out how to do it. And it took us forever to be Atheon and all that good stuff. But it was a fun experience because it was like, hey, this is all so new and it's not really talked about. And granted, like, I think where we are in our current time frame with video games is like it's impossible to not to have content that is not advertised. Okay, and yes, Bungie still does a good job of dropping things on us, like Wicked Implements Exotic Quest. That was really interesting. That just came out of the blue, out of nowhere. Nobody brought it up or anything, and we need more stuff like that. And that's one of the first things I would recommend for Bungie, is giving us more things that's like just nobody talked about. It wasn't leaked, it wasn't showcase, there was no teasers about it, just stuff that, like, hey, if we're wandering in patrol, all of a sudden we wander into a cave and then there's this whole mission that comes out of it, similar to the original Whisper of the Worm mission. You're on Io and you just go inside this cave and the next thing you know, you're doing the Whisper mission. Like, that is one of the things that we've had stuff like that in Destiny 2, but we don't get that anymore. Like, how long has it been since we've had like a truly like just secret exotic quest or a secret something or another that literally nobody ever talked about, and then all of a sudden, like, it spreads like wildfire through the community? They're like, hey, there's this thing, have you heard about this mission? Oh, what mission? And then everybody starts talking about it and all this stuff. And so I think that giving us more of that, and it doesn't mean like advertising Destiny 2 less, right? Like, I think that, something that like might be, interpreted when I'm saying this is that Bungie is wanting us to just basically not to communicate with us about what's coming and what's happening. No, we still want that. Like, we still would like, story insights and stuff like that. Like, we still want to know, and it's still good to advertise some of the stuff that's coming, but at the same time, like, leave some secrets out there, because once it hits the community, like, it's going to spread like wildfire across social media. And again, that's something that Destiny 1 didn't have quite the same problem with, because its player base was much smaller and stuff. So that's something that I think Bungie could do to bring back the mystery. I think also, in terms of mystery, it's not just like mystery, like, oh, like, what are the Vex, what are the Fallen, like all this stuff. I think that it's also like in terms of exploration, like what are you going to find? And exploration has always been such a fun thing for me. I love playing games where they're open world and exploration is encouraged. Things like Fallout, like I still play Fallout all the time because, exploration is encouraged. And Destiny 1 back in the day, like I remember going to Venus, going to Mars, going to all these different planets, and I would literally go all over them. I mean, I would be walking along the edges of the map. I'd be looking at every single little cave and, hole that I could find. I'd be looking everywhere, just exploring. Sometimes you'd find a chest, and I don't know if y'all remember back in Destiny 1, but chests were not common to find in the world. So you'd find a chest and you'd get this sense of, genuine excitement, like, oh my gosh, I just found, this chest. And so I think the exploration needs to be revamped in Destiny 2 so that, there's a reason to go and explore Earth. And one of the things, we've talked about this a couple months ago, but one of the things I think could really help with that is having an RNG system on planets that is similar to how Destiny 1 worked. Now, that is a double-edged sword because a lot of people hear RNG and a lot of people say RNG is a fickle thing. I mean, look at what's going on with the 10-year anniversary event. People are losing their minds about the whole Ingram situation in the Skywatch, which I don't understand because, like, bro, like, you don't have to get your title in one freaking day. Okay. Anyway, look, sorry, not going off on a tangent here, but, when you're exploring, I think that there should be, an RNG system on stuff you can get. And one of the things I talked about in a video from a couple months ago is a world specific, and when I say world specific, I mean like destination specific, Earth, Venus, EDZ, Cosmodrome specifically, sets of armor and sets of weapons that you can only get if you're doing stuff in patrol on these zones. Okay, if you're doing lost sectors, for example, if you're opening chests, if you're doing little mini quests and adventures and patrols and stuff. And as you do more, I guess, challenging stuff on these locations, like doing master lost sectors and legend lost sectors, and doing some adventures, not just a patrol where it's like, oh, collect these 25 things or whatever. Like, you're doing stuff that actually takes a little bit of effort. That's how your chances of getting these rewards increase. But again, these weapons and this armor is very unique to this planet exclusively. You can't get it on any other planet. You don't get it from doing the nightfall that takes place on that planet. Like, you have to be exploring and playing in the world itself. And of course, keep these these destination specific weapons loot pools large. Okay, 12 perks in each column, like we've seen with some of the other playlist activities and stuff like that. And that would keep people engaged in playing on these planets. Like if there's a 140 hand cannon with, I don't know, Outlaw and Headstone, for example, on the Cosmodrome, like, yeah, I'm gonna do stuff on the Cosmodrome in the hopes that I can eventually get that. And a lot of people, I think, are so averse to the grind now that they forget Destiny 1 was the ultimate grind. Like Destiny 1 was when I think of like a grindy game, like Destiny 1 was that. Okay, because Destiny 1, like, you had to, I mean, how long was it before people got Galahorn from a Nightfall or from a raid or something like that? If they missed it, like, it was literally months. Like there was no bad luck protection, anything. And granted, I think that the RNG system and the grind system of Destiny 1 was not perfect. I think that as we've moved into Destiny 2, it's definitely gotten better because, I mean, at the end of the day, nobody likes not getting X exotic because you just don't have the luck to get it. Like, nobody liked that, there were people who waited months and months to get Galahorn. They did all of their, potential exotic stuff they could do, nightfalls, raid, stuff like that for weeks on end. Never got one. Why? Because of bad luck. Oh, but they'd get the same, hard light 3 or 4 times, or, they'd get universal remote 3 or 4 times, but no Galahorn. So, granted, I'm not saying we need to go back to a D1 RNG system, but I do think that, going back to at least some RNG, more than what we have now, would be better. Of course, crafting is also going to get brought up here. And I think that crafting, I'll say this, I think crafting is okay. Given on certain weapons. Like, I think, for example, raid weapons. Okay, here's the reality behind raids. Like, yes, raids are fun. Yes, raids are awesome to do. And it's great that you can get the, you can get crafted weapons and stuff. But at the same time, I don't know a lot of people who want to do, say, Last Wish every single week. right? 3 times a week. Like, that's not something that players want to do because it's old. They've done it several times over. It's not really something fun. Or maybe even Garden of Salvation. Like, who in here, raise your hand if you want to do Garden of Salvation 3 times a week, every single week for the next like 12 months. I don't. I wouldn't. I won't even pretend to want to do that. You know, so I think that crafted weapons from raids are fine, but when it comes to like, you know, seasonal weapons and stuff like that, like, I don't know if crafting is necessarily the way to go. And Bungie has been kind of balancing out between crafted and you know, loot drops, random loot drops between the the Season of the Dawn weapons, and then of course the seasonal weapons. You know, the Vex seasonal themed weapons, those you can craft, but the Season of the Dawn, things like Breach Light and Martyr's Retribution, those are RNG only. Like, I think that's getting to a good balance, but I think that the primary focus should be more about, you know, RNG, and I think that would be very beneficial for Destiny 2 going on into the future. And again, not saying everything has to be RNG, you know, but it would be great if some stuff was. Now, I also think the exotics, in terms of exotics and RNG, this is one of those things that it's pretty touch and go, because Destiny 1 had exotic RNG. Like, you could get a random exotic that wasn't part of your collections. Like, it was just, you know, whatever exotic, you know, like in Destiny 2, or actually, let's go Destiny 1. You could get Icebreaker just randomly. You could get Galahorn just randomly. You could get, you know, Hard Light or Universal Remote, or what was it? I'm trying to think of some other ones. I don't even remember them all, but you could get these weapons randomly. And it was so cool to get a random weapon that you didn't have. And it's like, oh my God, I just got insert X weapon, whatever it was. Now I'm going to take it in and test it out. Nowadays, there's a pretty direct route on getting exotics. Like, oh, you do a quest, you get this exotic. You do this story, you get this exotic. And like, I think that if Bungie just took like 10 exotics and dumped them into the world loot pool and said, here you go. Here's exotics. There's 10 of them. You have to get them just by playing the game. They'll sometimes drop from raids. They'll sometimes drop from chests, drop from random enemies, but there's no definitive way to get them. I think that would be really, really fun. I think it'd be really nice for the game. And of course, we could keep in the protection of like, once you get a weapon or an armor piece, like, you don't get it again. I'm sorry, a weapon. Once you get a weapon, you don't get it again. That way we're not dropping, you know, getting, I don't know, 15 risk runners in a row or something like that. Like, you know, you can still get the new exotics, but now there's like, you know, there's a playtime and a wait time investment built into it. But yeah, so that's kind of something from Destiny 1 that I'd like to see back in Destiny 2. Other than that, I really think that Destiny 2 has improved substantially on Destiny 1. Of course, we got the mantle, which I don't know how many of y'all played Destiny 1, but do you remember when you would be flying towards a ledge and you literally, the tip of your toe would touch that ledge and you would just slowly fall, and your teammates would watch you go over because it wouldn't mantle? We got the mantle. That's pretty good. We got class abilities, which I love class abilities. We have a bunch of stuff from D1 or in D2 that was not present in D1, and I like that. But I think that's, you know, if Bungie wants to go, you know, towards that mysterious and feels good aspect of Destiny 1, like, you need to bring back more RNG, and you need to have more open exploration. You have more sense of mystery in the game. Don't answer everything so upfront and outright. But anyways, yeah, that's it for this conversation. Tell me what you think about it. Tell me what you think about how Destiny 2 could be more like Destiny 1. Or of course, if you didn't play Destiny 1, tell me some of the things that you know, your experiences with Destiny 2 and what could be better. But yeah, that being said, drop a like, helps the channel out a lot. Subscribe for more daily Destiny content, conversations, debates, discussions, all that good stuff. And do me a favor, watch the videos you see here on the end screen, because for whatever reason, YouTube thinks you'll like them. Guys, I'll see you next time. Bye for now.